Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Check out these gold records behind me, all this cool stuff. I am at the Hard Rock Cafe here in Orlando, Florida, and I found a room that is fairly unoccupied so I could do an intro, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Lots of cool things from all different bands in here. If you haven't been to a Hard Rock Cafe before, I would suggest you do it. One of my favorite trivia facts is a lot of the gold records aren't even really the record that they're commemorating, so you can count the track listing and it doesn't line up with how many songs are supposed to be on there. Anyway, all right guys, this is gonna be an awesome show. You're not gonna want to miss this. Okay, we are back in the Record-ology studios to present to you a new record player. Always love this. This is the Angel's Horn AH6. Now, if you're looking at this quite large box and thinking to yourself, that's a large box for a record player, you would probably be right in your guess that it includes more than just a record player. This is indeed a system in a box, so it'll have speakers, everything you need to play a record. So, this will be fun to check out. By the way, Angel's Horn, don't sleep on this brand. These guys are selling some really good stuff. They use good suppliers and the products are not bad at all. So I expect the best from this, and let's go ahead and open it up, see what we got. Excited to review this. It's been too long since we've done a review. Had a lot of travel over the last few weeks. Back at home for the time being, and glad to have an opportunity to review some more product. And there's more where this came from. Okay, we got a big retail box inside this, so let me get this out of here. I decided to leave the retail box in the other box. And what is that? Another box. This is like a Pandora's box. This is like one of those nesting dolls where there's one inside the other, inside the other. What's in this one? If there's another box, I'm just gonna quit right now. Okay, we're finally getting somewhere. All right, we finally are making progress. I see speakers. I'm gonna get this thing on the ground. I think this is getting a little bit too tall to do on the desk here. Okay, that's a little more manageable. That box was packed tight. Okay, so we've got two main sections. We got the speakers, we got the turntable, and right on top, perched on top, is this nice full color illustrated guide to setup, which is really, really nice. How to install the counterweight, connect the speakers. So for a beginner, this would be a great setup. What I've found so far is that Angel's Horn stuff is really good for the beginner. They make a very reasonable product, good quality, good sound, and a great place to start. So yeah, alrighty. There is actually a bag full of accessories on the side here, and a user manual, warranty card. Don't lose that. All right, let's take a look at these speakers. They appear to have like a reddish brown hue to them. Wood veneer with speaker grills. So let's take a peek here. So we got a fabric grill. Let's see if it's removable. I think it is. Or not. I can't decide. Am I about to? Okay, yeah, it is removable. Literally wasn't sure if I was about to break it. Good grief, it's stiff. Okay, they do come off, but it's not super easy to remove. All right, we've got two drivers, so that's two-way speaker, good rubber surround, paper driver, paper dust cap, tweeter up there, and you can obviously use these exposed. Some people like to do that. I myself prefer the grill, so I'm going to put that back on. Looking at the back, these are passive speakers, so the amplifier is actually in the turntable itself, and it's ported there. You can actually see, at least to the naked eye, I'm not sure how well it's coming across camera, but I can see the actual driver for the tweeter. So it is a true two-way speaker. Tabbed speaker connectors. Angel's Horn says power rating of 18 watts, 4 ohms, made in China. The bottom has little rubber nubs for feet, and both speakers are going to be the same because, like I said, they are passive. So there's no lead speaker with the amplifier in it because they don't have amplifiers. They are completely passive. Check this out. Looks like we got 2 giant VU meters right on the front of the thing. That looks awesome. Very cool. All right, let's start with the dust cover. It looks like a completely clear variant, which is fine. And the device itself is protected with these foam end caps, styrofoam. And then underneath, as is typical, the platter and platter mat will be under there. So we'll set that aside. Now you may be saying to yourself, why are you surprised at anything you unpack? You know, you should know what you're reviewing. Either you purchase it or you know what product sample you're getting. Thing is oftentimes the arrangements are made weeks, if not months in advance of the show. So I usually just forget because I don't remember what the turntable was, which I think is fun because it adds an element of surprise and excitement, at least for me. And I always feel that if I'm excited, if I am interested, enthusiastic, etc., hopefully that'll come across in the video and make it more of an interesting watch. There's a little piece here in the back to hold the anti-skate weight, and you got to be very careful when removing this not to snag it. All right, carefully removed the plastic, and there it is. So I always start with the weight. It does feel a bit boxy, and it's got some weight to it, but it is a little bit lighter than I expected it to be. We do have that same wood veneer, sort of a cherry wood look to it. And I remember in wood shop class in high school, back when they had such things, working with cherry, I made a clock, almost said an alarm clock, but a clock out of cherry wood. This is just a veneer, so this will be over like an MDF board material. It is a belt-driven turntable, so as you can see, we've got the motor pulley, the motor itself, I should say, with a brass pulley. And here's the main bearing. Yeah, so tone arm looks to be probably an aluminum type. We'll look at that a little bit closer. Tabbed head shell, 3600 cartridge, no surprise. And the front of this thing is the surprise because we've got these big, beautiful VU meters. I can tell already that there's a film on there. So I will unceremoniously and without gimmick remove these. Probably do that off camera actually. So yeah, very cool and unique. I love it when it's unique. When you've done thousands of unboxings, you know, things start to run together a little bit and you know, like, did I dream that or did that actually exist? So many are alike. This one's truly different. So I'm excited for that. Figured it might be a good time to find out exactly what's in these bags here. So we've got the warranty card. And let's see. So 24-hour service, quick return or refund, 3-year warranty, birthday surprise. What? And then we've got the manual and an alignment protractor, which is good. So if you want to put a new cartridge on there, you can use this to align it or to verify the factory alignment. This other bag, you will find the counterbalance, the speaker wire, good speaker wire. I love this clear speaker wire. You will find the power supply, which is a wall wart, more speaker wire. This is cool. This is a little tool for putting the belt on. Completely unnecessary. I mean, you can use your finger and it takes all of about 3 seconds to do. But this is kind of a nice luxury to have this little tool to set it with. And a cheap 45 adapter. By the way, our all new color exclusive Record-ology 45 adapter. For the month of November, we're releasing cranberry color. Is coming your way and available in the links down below. Yeah, definitely want to grab one of these. Much more fun than this. Don't forget the counterbalance weight hiding at the bottom of the bag in another bag. This is essential. You don't want to misplace this. All right, before I get this thing put together, I wanted to give it a little bit more of a thorough review, at least this device itself, from a physical build standpoint and design standpoint. So this panel is metal. These are gorgeous VU meters with like a neon orange needle on a green backlit display. Obviously hard to see right now. These knobs are plastic, but that's a switch. And then this one over here is a switch and volume control with good drag. I like that. And oh yeah, and this meter on and off, you can turn off the light meter, is great because it's switchable right from the front there. But I am impressed that that is metal. It adds an air of quality to it. Looking on the bottom here, there's no speed adjustment from what I can see. And the feet are all plastic foot with a foam rubber, or rubber I should say, pad on the bottom. They are not adjustable per se, but they are spring loaded and spongy, which is nice. Okay, a bit of a hallelujah moment. We've actually got a pitch adjust on the back with a detent position, plastic knob. We've got an RCA line input and a line output. So if you don't want to use a built-in amplifier and the speakers that come with it, you can go line output into your stereo system, powered speakers, etc. If you do want to use the built-in amplifier, you have the speaker tabs right there, which will connect 15 volt power supply DC on and off switch on the back. Obviously the clips for the dust cover, but that's it. Pretty simple, but really glad to see the pitch knob. That is awesome. Platter is die cast aluminum. Belt is right there on the sub platter with a ribbon to help you put it on. So we simply place it on like that. You can do all this with your finger. There's no ribbon needed. Ooh, that left some residue. Some sticky residue from that tape. Means it probably got hot. So if your turntable doesn't come with a ribbon like this, don't freak out. It's just, I mean, you can grab it with your fingers. But if you want to be fancy, you've got this ribbon to pull it away. And then you've got this fancy doodad here to help you go like that. And that's literally all there is to it. You can do it with your fingers. Some people get weird about touching a rubber belt. It's not going to do any damage. It's not going to do any damage at all. But this is super handy for positioning if you want to do that. Plus, if for whatever reason your belt was a little bit further down or hard to get to, this could be handy. So I probably have a million of these laying around now. But yeah, kind of nice to have the extra niceties to go along with it. This does come with a basic felt platter mat. Feel free to add your own. Also, the edge here has a bit of a lip. And if you have a flexible, pliable felt mat or a platter mat, you know, you're really not going to realize any issue with that. But it actually serves to give the raised hub, if you have a record with a raised hub, some room to lay a little bit lower than the edges of the record. Subtle, but effective, and that's really, really handy. If you have a flat record, it won't impact it whatsoever, but it's a good design. I actually prefer that. Okay, it's tone arm time. When it comes to these anti-skates with the weight, this is the premium way to do it. I mean, you'll see this on higher end turntables. The reason being is that it's constant. It doesn't change over time. Lower end mechanisms use like a knob down here, which controls a spring. So a spring can change over time, right? It can stretch out, the physics of it can change, whereas a weight does not. That being said, I still prefer the spring. It works fine. I mean, you're not gonna, if that's your problem in life, is that your anti-skate spring is stretching out, then you've got a great life, because that's not a bad problem to have. All right, we're gonna go ahead and set the tracking force followed by the anti-skate. I'm gonna show you how to do it. It's all in the manual, but I've got to have something to talk about on this show. I got a comment recently, really made me crack up. It's like, it literally just says, "You yap too much," which is true. Definitely not the first time I've heard that. However, it's kind of hard to describe things if you don't talk somewhat. So there you go. Maybe I should show more and talk less. I will say this. We have a lot of viewers who have visual impairments who actually appreciate the show because I do describe things in painful detail. So for them, I'm going to keep doing what I do. Before you balance your tone arm, make sure you take off any packing material, any of that stuff, the cover for the stylus, etc., etc. Okay, so let's start. By the way, like I said, tone arm is metal. It's tab design, so it's non-removable head shell. However, you can upgrade the cartridge if you so choose. And we've got a very nice metal gimbal mechanism that is nice and rigid. Plastic sleeve here, plastic cup here, and we already talked about the anti-skate. We'll look at that a little bit closer. So to start with, we're going to float the tone arm which just means we're going to find the point at which it's neutral and floats midair, neither going up nor down. It's pushing to the outside right now, which is expected, but let's find that float point to where it doesn't want to go up or down. This is really when you can get an idea for the quality of the gimbal. This one kind of pivots. See it kind of like pivot there in the middle? I would like for it to be more, you know, I don't know how to describe that, but basically to be a little bit more precision in its up and down movements, and not like it feels like there's a detent position, which it really shouldn't be. It should be completely neutral. But that's as neutral as this one's going to get. So then we're going to turn this dial over here to 0, and this cartridge has a tracking force range of about 2.5 grams to 4 grams. They recommend setting at 3.5. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate around to 1, to 2, all the way to 1.5. And that is set properly. While we're down here, I would like to point out it's got a nice cueing lever, and this will sit in a neutral position irregardless of the up or down status of the cueing lever, unless the tone arm is out over the lift shelf, which is good. That's the way you want it. So if it's clipped in and you happen to raise it, forgetting that it's clipped in, you're not going to do any damage whatsoever. Now we need to set the anti-skate, and they recommend positioning it in the 3rd groove on this stick back here. They call it a stick. I don't know if there's a technical term for that. So basically that will be 1 gram per notch. So the third notch will be 3 grams. And typically you set the counterbalance weight to the same value as the tracking force. This should cinch down. Yeah, so this cinches down. You can tighten it down. Yeah, let's not go all the way. That way it's still adjustable. And then you hang the weight over here. And it just sort of hangs there, except when you don't cinch it down tight enough and the whole thing just slides right off. So yeah, but that's the idea. You get the idea. Okay, so you can see we're tied on there. And then over here, we've got our weight. See how it's dangling around? That's one reason why I don't really like this way of doing it, but it is technically better. All right, there it is all set up. I think that looks cool. I mean, it's different, right? I'm gonna go ahead and turn this guy on. Oh, I had to flip the switch in the back. Usually, record players don't have a power switch in the back. All right, so the red LED lights up. You can press this button to light those bad boys up. You can see it kind of up close there. They look really cool. I love the look of that. And then if you turn it off, it goes pretty dark and out of focus for some reason. And because we set the counterbalance manually, we don't really need to check the tracking force. So I actually did decide to check my work there on the counterbalance weight and the anti-skate weight, and come to find out that where I thought I had set it at 3.5 grams was actually way less than that. I had to screw that counterbalance all the way in, as you can see there, all the way in to get it to even 3 grams flat, which is fine for this cartridge. That's well in range. So no problem there, but it is a bit fussy, and I'm a little bit concerned that the beginner may get flustered and not understand how that part works, and without having a gauge, which a beginner wouldn't have, there's not really a way to verify that, and like as not, they would be tracking way too light. So something to consider. Also, this type of anti-skate weight does interfere with the tracking force, something to be aware of. So make sure that anti-skate hanging weight is on there and accounted for when you're calibrating your tracking force. And there's a pitch knob, so we don't really need to do a speed test on it, but we definitely need to listen to it. So we're going to test it out ambiently in the room with microphone, listening to these speakers, and I'll give you my thoughts as well, because demoing speakers, over YouTube is difficult, famously difficult. But we'll also do a direct feed because we have that line output on the back as well. Man, this thing looks good, but we really need to define how it sounds. So let's go ahead and turn it on here. This knob, these are plastic knobs. I'm not sure if I said that or not. Plastic switch down here too, but they, it's got drag to it and it feels like a quality switch behind this knob. Backlit VR meters, which is cool. You can turn off the light. I don't know why you would want to do that because I like lights. I mean, maybe not everybody likes lights, but anyhow, let's go ahead and test this bad boy out. We are going to be using the front-facing stereo ambient microphone, and then we'll do a direct feed. And yeah, looks gorgeous. Hope it sounds as good as it looks. This is Vinyl Moon number 85. Almost too much bass there. It was sort of resonating too heavily. But I had turned the volume up quite a bit. Let me turn it not quite as high. Okay, I have to jump in here. It sounds so good. The bass is so rich. I think what was happening when I first turned it up so high is the vibrations were feeding back through this. Now, this would be a good test for that isolation deck. You know, maybe I should pull it out for this. But yeah, so I think the vibrations from the bass was feeding back. That's why you don't want your speakers on the same surface as your turntable. But bear with me for the purposes of this test. Let's go on to another track and test this as well. So far, very impressed with the sound. Wow. Wow. This thing is fantastic. Okay, it's not often that I'm truly blown away by the sound quality of something we review, but this one really takes the cake. This sounds so good. All right, let's drop the stylus again. That's distortion in the recording. That's supposed to sound like that. That's what sometimes I hesitate using the Vinyl Moon stuff. It looks great and the music can be really cool, but oftentimes they use a sort of distorted sound effects in the music on purpose, which if you know that, it's fine. But if you don't, you might say, oh, that's the equipment having, you know, distortion when it's really supposed to sound like that. It's kind of a hit or miss in terms of if it's going to make for a good test recording or not. But overall, super impressed here.
Como almendro en primavera.
All right, I'm not going to say anything about that, but what I am going to do is we're going to flip the disc over and do a direct feed sound test. Okay, it is direct feed sound test time in stereo, headphones on if you got them. Okay, so for $269 approximately on Amazon as of the filming of this, I think this is a very good setup for a beginner. It's an all-in-one solution that really focuses on the sound quality, but definitely has some stylistic touches that I love, such as the VU meters on the front. Obviously, they're for decorative purposes. It's cool. It's not like a tool, but it looks wonderful. It looks really, really cool. I don't typically like tone arm setup that requires the hanging anti-skate balance, but you know, it was okay with this. We talked about the tone arm counterbalance was a little fussy and the counterbalance gimbal was a little fussy, but the speakers sound fantastic. They sound absolutely luscious, and you also get the benefit of Bluetooth connectivity, something that we didn't even review, and that is easy as pairing your phone and getting that same sound quality through this built-in amplifier and speakers. So for somebody just starting out, This really does unlock the potential sound quality in vinyl for an affordable price, I think, comparatively. If you think about what it would cost you for a decent turntable and powered speakers, put those two together, and $269 all of a sudden is a very reasonable price. So this is 2 thumbs up for me. All right, my friends, that's going to do it for today. Off in another nook here. There's some great stuff on the wall. Just really, really cool memorabilia. If you haven't been to a Hard Rock Cafe, even if you're not a huge rock and roll fan like me, you'll still find stuff that's cool. It's very fun to see all the merch, and everyone is different. Anyway, my friends, that's going to do it for today. So happy record hunting, and we'll see you next time.